time.
No, not me. Come on. I ain't got time to talk. You better. This ain't the arrogant. You should walk. Make yourself extinct. Hurry. Never depreciate. I'm better than ever. Rap terror. Living nightmare. When you wake up, I'm right.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel at the Anchor Desk with my partner Clark Kellogg, bringing you the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. These are the top 5 teams in college hoops as we begin the new season. The North Carolina Tar Heels come in as the number 1 ranked team, followed by Kentucky, Syracuse, Duke, and Ohio State. Clark, what's your take of the teams that make up the top 5?
Sometimes the top players in the nation and the best teams in the nation aren't necessarily together at the top of the poll. But going into this season, we have some of the absolute best players playing on the marquee teams. That's really exciting to me, Greg.
North Carolina is in the catbird seat to start the season, sitting pretty in the number 1 spot. They'll be trying to build on last season's regular season conference championship.
No matter how many different pieces they have this year as compared to last, they'll go into this season with the attitude of we're the champs, and if you want the crown, you've got to go through us.
Kentucky is in the number 2 spot. They had a terrific record last season, finishing with 22 wins.
That total identified them as a team to be reckoned with in college basketball. I won't be surprised to see them reach or surpass that total again this season.
Syracuse comes in as number 3. They're in one of the power conferences, Clark. You think they'll be able to withstand the tough schedule?
They're ranked highly now, but they're going to have to play a lot of tough games in that conference, and if they're not consistently playing at a high level, we could see them slip a bit.
Duke starts the year as the 4th-ranked team. Their dreams of tournament glory last year were quickly dashed in a first-round loss.
This year they have the potential to do much better than last. Last season they spent a lot of their energy getting to March Madness and were worn out once they got there. I'll bet they handled the journey to the tournament much better this time.
Ohio State is the number 5 team. Their total of 35 wins last season was remarkable.
Winning that many games again is going to be extremely difficult, no matter how much talent they have. Not many teams play that many games, never mind win that many. They'll be on the verge of dynasty status if they repeat that performance.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your impression of that set of teams?
We've seen plenty of future national champions come out of this group from the middle of the top 25. I'm not willing to say just yet whether that is going to happen again this year, but a few teams certainly have the potential.
The Wisconsin Badgers, the number 6 team, have stirred up a lot of talk in the offseason. Their tournament last year came to an abrupt end with a loss in the second round, Clark.
It can be demoralizing for a team not to get past the first weekend of the tournament, but they've had all summer to forget about that loss and instead build on the positives from last season.
The Memphis Tigers, the number 12 team, have also generated a lot of interest. The experts are having a hard time classifying this team because they have such versatile players.
What I think will be one of their strengths is their ability to adapt to their opponent's style of play. They'll be able to come at you in a lot of different ways, and I think the coaching staff is going to take full advantage of that chameleon style.
Okay, Clark, let's take a look at the teams that close out the preseason top 25 poll. How about this list?
It doesn't get much weaker as you go down the list. Even near the end of the top 25, we see teams that could make a serious go at the national championship if things fell into place. I wouldn't count anyone out.
The Connecticut Huskies, the number 20 team, could be one to watch. Everything with them starts with the men at the top, the coaches, and that's a pretty good place to start.
This coaching staff is really highly respected. They always squeeze every drop of talent out of their squad, and I'll bet they do it again this year. I don't know if they'll overachieve necessarily, but they'll definitely live up to their potential.
The Illinois Fighting Illini, the number 25 team, are also worth keeping an eye on. They're ranked where they are because it's almost impossible to find anything wrong with this team.
Nearly every team has an Achilles heel or a weakness, but this team is so well balanced, they're going to be a tough matchup for anybody.
We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our preseason All-Americans. There before you are the 5 first-team All-Americans as we begin the season, and what a list it is. What's your take on the first-teamer at the top of the list, Clark?
Taylor is a tremendous talent, Greg. What I like about him most is his ability to find the soft spot in an opposing defense and exploit it. And he can do it no matter how a defense chooses to play him. I have yet to see a team truly shut him down.
As for our next first-teamer, Duke is more than willing to go into battle with him, Clark.
Rivers really is an elite talent. That's a given.
There's plenty to like about him as a player. He's got that deadly combination of smarts and physical skills that makes him so difficult to defend. A coach's mentality in the body of a world-class athlete? Any questions as to why he's on the list?
Next up is a player that's drawing comparisons to some of the all-time college greats. The Kentucky Wildcats are fortunate to have him in their corner.
Number 14 is a first-teamer without a doubt. He has such versatility. He can take it and rake it, get down the court with the ball and make plays. He'll be a nearly impossible matchup for their opponents.
Let's move on to a player who's worked very hard to earn his spot on the list. The Michigan State Spartan can depend on a solid effort from him each and every night.
Green is the anchor of his team, and if they're going to the promised land, he's the one that's going to lead them there. We always talk about the guys with great hands. Well, he's got great feet. I love those happy feet. There are few players in the nation with better footwork than him, and that's what allows him to always be in the right position, whether it comes to rebounding or finding space for an open shot.
And finally, we have another superb player to round out the first team. The Kentucky Wildcats will probably get used to seeing him make the impossible look ordinary.
Davis already has opposing coaches drawing up game plans designed to stop him, but it won't matter what they come up with. Give him too much room and he'll burn you off the dribble. Or play him tight and watch him find a teammate for an easy hoop. One way or the other, he's unstoppable.
As we move to the second team All-Americans, we can see there's no shortage of talent with this group. They're all elite players with the potential to dominate the game. The Florida Gators have built their team around this young man's talent. And I'd say that's a pretty good idea.
Walker was a very hard player to leave off the first team. If I had to pick some frontrunners for the Player of the Year award, he would be right there on the list. I've seen him take over games even when he isn't scoring 30. There are some great scorers among these All-Americans, and he's one of them. But he does much more than score.
The next player on the team is a sensational player in his own right. Ohio State is in for a treat if he can pull it all together and have a great year.
Number 44 is someone you could look at as last season progressed and see his improvement on a weekly basis. I have no doubt he belongs on this All-American team, and I think the sky's the limit for him this season.
We can all look forward to some very exciting highlights from this young man this year. The North Carolina Tar Heels hope to have this young man carry the load for them, and he looks up to the task.
Barnes has terrific skill in so many facets of the game. It isn't out of the realm of possibility to say that he might even be a little bit underrated. I know it seems far-fetched to say that about a preseason All-American pick, but I'm not sure people realize just what a huge year he's in for, Greg.
Our next All-American may have designs on the first team by the end of the season. Kansas has one of the most reliable go-to guys in the country in him.
Robinson was one of the first players that came to mind when I was thinking of the top 10 players in the nation. The success of his team rests directly on his shoulders, and I believe he has the ability to take them all the way to the title.
And here we have the final player on our list of All-Americans, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Know who their fan favorite is going to be this year?
Sullinger is last but not least on the All-American list. His upside is higher than a lot of the other guys here because he has so much raw ability. He could jump to the first team this year if he harnesses all that ability into the complete package.
All right, Clark, that about wraps things up. On behalf of State Farm and the crew, I'd like to thank you again for joining us on the 2K Sports Season Preview. We'll see you during the season. So long, everyone.